South Asian agriculture, which developed thousands of years ago, is adapted to the weather changes brought by the alternating wet and dry monsoons. One of their most important crops is rice. Rice is a type of grass that was first cultivated in South Asia thousands of years ago. It can be grown under many kinds of conditions, and there are thousands of different kinds. Wet rice is grown in small fields called paddies. These paddies are surrounded by mounds of earth so that water can be let into and out of the growing area. When it's time to plant the rice, the paddies are watered and the muddy ground is plowed to loosen the soil and prepare it for planting. After the seeds are planted, the paddies are flooded with water. When the seedlings begin to crowd each other, they are pulled out of the soft, muddy earth and tied into bundles. Then, they are replanted in a nearby field where they will have plenty of room to grow. The field is kept covered by a few centimeters of water until the grain begins to ripen. Then, the fields are drained and the rice is harvested. In some parts of Asia, the process of separating the grain from the chaff, or husk, that surrounds it is still done by foot. Many other crops, such as millets and cotton, are grown on lands that are not well suited for rice production. Although most parts of South Asia are dependent on the summer monsoon for moisture, some regions get much more rain than others. One of the wettest regions lies along India's southwest coast bordering the Arabian Sea. Streams meander through the narrow coastal plain. There are many coastal lagoons. The climate is ideal for growing coconut palms and rubber trees. Rice grows well in this region too. In some places, the seaward-facing slopes of the Western Ghats are still covered with dense tropical forests. People have used these forests for building materials and firewood for centuries. A few elephants still help with harvesting the forest trees, but many more elephants were used for this work in the past. Today, much of the forest has been cut, and the elephants are primarily used in special events and celebrations. The climate of this area is also suitable for raising other crops, such as tea and pepper. Pepper vines twist around trees. The vines produce peppercorns that are ground and used to season foods. Tea plantations can be found at elevations of a few hundred meters. The long, leathery leaves are harvested year-round in southern India. Another very wet region is found on the southern side of the Himalayas, in northeast India and southern Nepal. Some of the forests in this area are home to tigers and the rare one-horned Asian rhino. As in southern India, much of the forest has been cut to clear land for rice production and to grow other types of crops. Most of the Deccan Plateau lies on the dry side of the Western Ghats and gets much less rainfall than the southwest coast. On the plateau there are grassy areas, and the natural vegetation is more spread out. Many crops grown here have to be irrigated, and deep wells are dug to get water. Sugarcane is one of several crops that do well in areas that have long dry seasons. This plant is native to South Asia. After harvesting, the cane is crushed to release the sweet juices. Then, the juice is heated until most of the water evaporates, leaving a thick molasses from which raw sugar is extracted. There are even drier regions in the northwest. The landscape becomes increasingly barren as you move westward toward the edge of the Thar Desert. Only a few types of drought-resistant crops, such as sorghums and millets, can be grown here without irrigation. Much of the land is used as pasture for livestock. The area's most important work animal is the camel. Camels can live for several weeks without water. They're even used to plow fields. Because the monsoon brings so little rain to this region, water is precious. It is captured and stored in ponds and reservoirs. A different kind of agriculture is found in the Himalayan highlands. Potatoes and barley are the principal crops in India's northern province of Ladakh. They are among the few crop plants that will grow at very high elevations. People in these highlands raise cattle, sheep, and goats. They also raise yaks, the shaggy beasts that are native to the region. Yaks thrive at high elevations.